Today, I'm going to show you how you can create an MCP server for your Bubble application so that you can interact with everything within your Bubble application via AI and through natural language. You can then integrate this with WhatsApp, with Slack, with Telegram, whatever you want into a larger AI process, and you can control everything within your Bubble app through AI. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is the very basic Bubble app I've created for the tutorial. It's our trusty to-do app, and I can go through the days, have a look at different tasks on different days. I can set these to completed or not completed. I can add a new one saying have a meeting. And this is what we're going to control through our MCP server, which we're going to set up. And let's have a look at that. So here we are. Let me reset this. So this is it here. It's got several different components to it, which I'll go through. We've got the MCP server itself, and then we have this other workflow here, which I'll come to a little bit later. We need this in order to be able to search the Bubble database. So let's see it working. So if I say, what tasks do I have to do today? It's going to send that off. It's going to go and use the MCP server, and it's going to come back and it's going to tell us, you have tasks to do today. You have breakfast, do work, walk dog, have a meeting. And additionally, you have these completed tasks. So here we can see we can read from the Bubble database. Let's try and adding a task and say, add a task for today called Cool Jeff. I'm going to send that off. It's going to go and access the MCP server. It will come back and tell us that it's done that. So let's go over to Bubble, and we can see here we've got Cool Jeff. And now let's say that I have Cool Jeff. So I'm going to say, mark that task as complete. And because it knows the context, it's going to know that we're talking about Cool Jeff. So it's going to go to the MCP, complete it. And there we go, has been completed. If we go back over to Bubble, we can see that this is now ticked off. And we can say, actually delete that task altogether. Send that off, and it's going to go to the MCP again. And it's going to delete that from within Bubble. So there we go. We have no longer that Cool Jeff. So there we can see we can interact with the data, but we can also do other things such as firing backend workflows. So I've got a backend workflow set up, which is very, very simple. All it's going to do is send an email summary to an email address. So I am going to go over to Bubble and say, send an email summary of my tasks. I'm going to send that off, and you can see it's using the MCP client, and it's going to do that within Bubble. If we go over to Bubble, over to the back end, we can see if we go to the server logs, we're going to reload this. And there we go. We can see that we sent an email today, which has a breakdown of the to-do items. So there we can see we are not just controlling data items, but we can also trigger any back-end workflows that we've got within Bubble. Now, at the moment, this is just working within n8n. However, you would probably want to integrate it in a larger AI system. So you might want to have it so that you can Telegram this bot and it can interact with your Bubble application, or you might want to put it into something larger. For integrations on how to integrate this, or any questions with regarding any of this we're going to go through today, do come over to the community, the Applied AI Club, and I can help you out, answer any questions you've got there. So let's have a look at how this works. So the first step is that we need to create a new n8n workflow, and we're going to have our MCP server trigger here. And let me separate these here. We've got several different things that it's doing. So these ones over here, we are using the Bubble tool, and that Bubble tool allows us to do several things, such as create objects, update objects, delete objects, get a single object, and to get all objects. And a lot of the workload can be done just by using these Bubble tools, but not all of them. Some of them we have to set up ourselves, which I will go through in just a second. However, so first of all, you want to add a Bubble tool, which is all you're doing is searching for Bubble and using this tool here. And then what you will do is open that tool up, and you'll be able to connect the credentials here. So let me show you how this works and how you set this up. So you need a few bits of information first from Bubble. So if we go over to the back end of Bubble and we go to API, what you'll need to do is you will need to turn on these settings here. So this one here, the enabled data API, will be turned off by default. You'll need to turn this on here, and you'll need to select all of the data objects you want to be able to access via API. Now, it is worth noting, if you're doing this, please make sure you are setting the privacy rules correctly. I don't have any privacy rules here. So if I was actually launching this for real, obviously they're very important for security. However, with that note made, let's go back. We need to make sure that these ones are enabled, and you also need to make sure that this is enabled here. However, that is by default enabled. Then we need to make sure that this is also enabled here. It should be enabled by default, but you just want to double check. Then we want to create an API token. So all you do is click on generate a new API token. You can put in a name for it. So I'm going to call it n8n, and then we're going to be given our private key here. I'm going to regenerate this after this tutorial, so this won't work anymore if you try and access my app. So once we have got our API key, we're going to come across back to n8n, and we need to put in that API key or API token in here. We don't need to put bearer or anything in front of it, just copy and paste it into there. Then we'll need the app name. How you get the app name is going back over to the Bubble editor, and you can just look up here, and after ID, it will give you the name of the Bubble application. That's what you need to copy and paste, or you can go across to the preview and you can copy the bit, the subdomain. So that's Bubble MCP test in our case. And we copy and paste that into the app name here. Then what we want to do is set the environment. So you have to set this up differently if you are connecting to just the development side of Bubble or if it's a live application. And then self-hosting, you'll either have to select Bubble hosted if you're not using your own domain, or if you are using your own domain, you click on self-hosted. After that, you save it, and that should be the connection set up with Bubble. And that enables us to use these Bubble tools here, which do a lot. They don't do everything, but they do a lot. So if I create a new tool, just so we can have a look at what we can change. So if I create a Bubble tool, so what we're going to want to look at is the operation. And if we click on a drop down, we can see we can do 5 different things here. We can create a data object within Bubble. We can delete one. We can get many, which is actually get all. I'll come back to this later. And we can update one as well. So this is how it's going to work. So if we look at create, what we're going to do is we are going to have to find the different properties of this item and put in the name of that property. It's got to be exact, and it's got to be case sensitive as well. So it's got to be a capital C if it is a capital C. We can find these by going over to Bubble, going on data types, and it's going to be these here. So you just want to copy and paste these. And once you have create selected, then you'll want to type in the name of the object itself. So in this case, we are affecting the to-do items. So we are typing in to-do. And then we have the properties. So we have completed, title, and day. And we are making AI decide this. So by default, it will come across as something like this, and this will be empty. However, all that we are doing is clicking on this to allow AI to decide what gets passed into this. And this is essentially how the MCP servers work, is you're allowing AI to pass in the information. And that's essentially all we need to do on the create. And this is pretty much the same for all of the others as well. The key things that we're doing here is defining what type of object we want to change and what the properties are that we want to change, and then passing through that information. I should say, if you are running up against any errors in this, that it's not passing through the correct information, you can fill in the description here on the value to help the AI agent understand what information should be passed in. You can also change the tool description. It will usually be set automatically. However, you can set it to be manual, and then type in a description here, just to give it a little bit more context. I've said here, this tool should be used to create a to-do item in the Bubble database. There are 3 parameters: completed, title, and day. Completed is whether a task should be marked as completed, and just explaining and also saying what format the information should be in. You can either put this up here, or you can put this in the descriptions of each property as well. You can have a play around with that and see what works for you and what works the best. So that's the create, and it's essentially the same with the other ones. So we're doing update. The only thing that's different is that we need the object ID. But the great thing is we can use another Bubble tool to get that ID. So again, we are using AI to automatically define the object ID, and then it's exactly the same. We're entering in the properties and saying AI can decide this, and we've got a prompt up here or a description up here saying what this does. So I haven't named this correctly, but this is the update function. Then we have the delete, which is exactly the same, except from we are just passing in the object ID, which again, it can get itself. And then we don't need to pass in any other bits of information because it's just deleting it. We're then getting a single item. Again, all we need to do is give it the object ID, and it's going to return all of the information related to that object. There is then the get many tool, which is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So let me delete this. And actually this is not being used here. So I'm going to delete this as well. If we come over here, let's have a look at this. So what we've done here is created a separate n8n workflow, which we're using as a tool connected to the MCP server. So this here is connected to this here. Now, the reason that we need to do this is that we cannot search, I'm going to create that tool again, actually. We cannot search the Bubble database very well without passing in JSON. So we cannot define it with AI. So if I go get many, there is no way that we can pass in what property we want to look for, if it's an and or an or, if it's a greater than or less than, unfortunately. So we have to do it manually. And the way that we do this is that we have to tell AI, you've got to create the JSON, which we then pass into this call. However, we cannot use this let AI define this for me, because we need to give AI more information and more context in terms of how to create that JSON, which will then go into the query to query the database. So this tool here, where is it here, does not work at the moment. Maybe Bubble will change their API so it does work a little bit better, but at the moment does not work. So we'll delete this. So we're having to create our own tool. So this is the sub workflow that we are firing when we want to get information, specific information, which we want to filter for. So not all of the data objects, but specific data objects from the Bubble database. So what we're doing here, I'll work from back to front. So first of all, or last of all, we are going to be doing a simple HTTP request to the Bubble data endpoint. You can find this by going to your Bubble application and simply copy and pasting this here, and then pasting it into here. And all we need to do is add on the end of it / and then whatever your data object name is. So in this example, it's to-do item. And I should say this is the test version. So if you're wanting to use this on your live Bubble application, just remove this. Or if you're working on a branch and you want to make this work on a branch, then you can also replace this with a branch ID. So then we are going to need to, I'm going to skip over this, come back to this later. Next, we're going to pass in the authentication. So we will need to create a header, and we're going to call this authorization, and the value is going to be bearer, and then it's going to be whatever your API token here is. And we can pass that in there, and that's going to allow us to connect correctly to Bubble. Then this is the part here. So in order to query specific information with certain fields, so, do we want it to be completed or not completed? Which day do we want to get it from? We will need to pass this in with the query parameter. And this part here is where we are using the previous step in order to generate the JSON in order to create that query parameter, which we can send on the end of this endpoint. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, if you've got any questions, do come across the community. You can reach me there. But hopefully that makes sense. And if I go back a step, this step here is where we are simply going to OpenAI and we are saying, hey, can you create this bit of JSON for me, which is going to be used as a query parameter, which is going to allow me to query my Bubble database. And I've told it, here are the different things you can query. So whether it's completed or not, and it's a true, false, the title and the date. And I've explained about what those properties are. I've then also given it an example of what the outcome should be and how to format it. And all this is going to do here is going to return JSON for us, and then we can use that JSON and pass it into our HTTP request here, and then that is going to enable us to get the data back. So we don't want to get all of the records back from Bubble, because you may have thousands and thousands of records within Bubble, but we want to make sure that we're getting back the specific information. So if we ask for completed to-do items on this day, it's going to query the day and if it's completed or not. So if we run this, we will see that that previous node is going to give us some content. Then this content, which is JSON, is going to be passed in to the query parameter, and it's going to be used in our query to get back just the information related to this. So in this example, we are getting back tasks which are completed and which have a date after the 15th of May. And then that's going to return the information, and we are going to be able to see that back in our MCP server. So if we go over here, we can see we can pass in the prompt, which is essentially what we want to search for. Then that prompt is going to create the JSON, and that JSON is going to be used in an HTTP request to return the relevant information. And the last thing that we're doing is being able to execute backend workflows within Bubble. So we're not just accessing the data and being able to change the data, but we're also being able to trigger backend workflows within Bubble. So before we have a look at this node, let's have a look at Bubble. We are going into backend workflows, and this is the one that we are triggering, the send email summary. You can put whatever you want in here. I've just made it very, very simple. And what you'll want to do is make it so you can run this workflow publicly. You can then either make it able to be run with authentication or without authentication. The only difference is if you untick this, which is the better thing to do on a live app, you will have to, if I come back over here, you will have to add authentication, just like we did with the previous node. You have to add authentication in as a header in this API call. But you can see, because I am allowing this workflow to be run without authentication, we don't need to pass it in. However, it is good practice to do that. So within this request, it is a post request. We are using this endpoint here, and you can find this endpoint by going to your settings, going to the workflow APIs, make sure it's enabled, copying this. Again, this is the test version. You can just remove this to make it work on live. We will copy this. We will come back over here, paste it in, and then all we're doing here is using the name of the backend workflow. So here, not here, backend workflow. Here we are simply copying and pasting this, or copying that and pasting it here on the end. That's all we need to do. Then, well, what else we need to do to make it work is we need to pass in the parameters. So if we have a look on the back end, this takes a date, which is a date, and an email address, so who to send it to. So all we're doing on n8n is defining those parameters, passing in the date, passing in the to email, and you can see here, as I discussed earlier, this is where we are giving AI a description of each one of these fields, what you should fill it in with and how you should fill it in. So I've given a description to each one of these parameters. And you can see I have also given this a description here saying that this tool will send an email summary to a specific email address for the tasks that have to be completed on a certain day. So this description allows the MCP server to see, okay, what does this tool do and how should I use it? Then as we saw in the demo, simply running this is going to trigger this backend workflow and do whatever is in that backend workflow. So there we go. That is how we are doing this. We have got our MCP client, which is the n8n agent, which is then connected to our MCP client. And I should mention here, all we are doing is we're opening this, and our endpoint, we need to get that from the MCP server. And again, there's a test and production. Whether you're testing it or whether it's in production, you should select the right one. You simply copy this, come back over here and paste it in here. That's all you have to do to set up the MCP client so it can interact with the server. The great thing here is you could also set this up with something that's outside of n8n. So if you use Claude Desktop or any other type of MCP host or client, then you can connect to this MCP here that's built within Bubble, and you can use it outside of n8n, which is really cool. And that's simply all you need to do. You connect your MCP client and then your basic other things, which you would do with any other agent, you know, giving it access to intelligence, giving it access to some memory. And then within here, the only thing that we are doing outside of the Bubble tool, we are setting up a custom workflow to be able to query a certain object within Bubble, or a certain object which has certain parameters, such as is it completed, the dates, the name, whatever it may be. And then in order to fire backend workflows, we have to create a HTTP request tool, which will then fire that workflow. There you have it. Hopefully this has been useful. Hopefully you've been able to follow along with the steps. If you do have any questions, please do come across the community and you can ask questions there. You can also ask questions down below on this YouTube video. So if you do have questions, you can leave them there below. I'd love to know how you guys are implementing it too. So if you do implement this, drop a comment down below and let me know what you're connecting your Bubble apps with and how it's working. And if you've liked this video, please do give it a like and subscribe for more. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.